You are listening to Policybazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.
As temperatures in the UAE soar past 50 degrees Celsius this May, it's no surprise that thousands of residents are looking to escape the heat and head to cooler destinations. So, whether it's the scenic cities of Europe, vibrant towns across UK and Canada, or the long-awaited reunions in the US. But before you pack your bags, travel insurance is the one thing you should absolutely not be missing out on, especially for the visa-required destinations like the Schengen zone. So, in today's episode, we answer the most common questions UAE travelers have while planning trips abroad, from visa rejection claims to medical emergencies, lost baggage, and of course, COVID cover as well. We've got everything covered for you. So, welcome to another episode of the Policy Project. I'm Sid, your host and your go-to guy for all things insurance. And today, we're talking about travel insurance. And I'm sure you're already planning your summer vacation. So, here's a reminder. Don't forget your travel insurance. It's a savior, not just a formality. And to talk more about that, we have an expert, as always, with us. Toshita Chauhan, she's the business head for travel insurance at Policybazaar.ae. And she's going to be guiding us all through. So welcome to the Policy Project once again, Toshita. As always, a pleasure having you on board.
Thank you, Sid.
All righty, ready to dive right in?
Absolutely.
ठीक है जी. तो is it better to use free travel insurance जो credit cards पे होती है बहुत सारे लोगों की, या फिर you should buy a proper plan from an aggregator like Policybazaar.ae?
Right. So I'll take 2 points to answer this question. One is that
Please.
typically if you're booking your travel, whether it's flight or hotel, on a particular credit card, and if that particular credit card has some sort of travel insurance benefit, then it is a free coverage for you. Right. So the pros would be that, okay, travel insurance is free. I don't have to pay additional money for that. But
True.
I would always be wary about it, wherein because we don't know what is the coverage. It could be a very basic coverage, which mostly it is. I don't
Right.
know the name of the insurance company. I don't know the plan details, etc. And if I'm traveling to a specific destination, certain visa requirements have to be fulfilled by the travel insurance product that I have. And that
Okay.
product may not fulfill those requirements, which I may probably get to know when I apply for visa or when my application gets rejected. We don't know. So,
Right.
if you're planning a summer holiday, especially with your family, the last thing you want to worry about any disruption, anything related to do with travel insurance that I had got it, but it still doesn't work. So it's best
Very
to
true.
kind of compare the plans on Policybazaar.ae. The benefits are outlined very clearly for each specific destination, which country you're traveling to. We have plans aligned for that destination, which meet the visa requirement. We have plans aligned for what kind of benefit you're looking for and what kind of holiday you're going for. It's an adventure holiday, so you can
Right.
add on add-ons like adventure cover, etc. Or it's a very
Right.
basic holiday where you just want to go chill on the beach and have a good time with your family. So all sorts of plans are available. So in short, I would say that definitely compare and purchase your travel insurance from Policybazaar.ae, just to ensure that you're making a smarter choice and you are aware of what kind of product that you're buying.
All right. Now, you made a very important point about the destinations. So, if we're talking about UK, USA, Canada, or even Europe for that matter, what exactly does travel insurance cover जब आप इन सब countries के अंदर में visit कर रहे हैं तो?
Right. So, a basic cover of the travel insurance would include your medical coverage, emergency medical coverage, and for
Right.
all these different destinations, a different medical coverage limit has been defined by each government of these countries, and
Right.
the travel insurance plans are aligned basis what country you're traveling to. So, for example, Schengen or the Europe region, typically a 30,000 euro medical coverage is required. It's a mandatory cover that has to be there in the policy, especially when you're applying for a Schengen visa. If you don't have such kind of insurance, you may get a visa rejection. For
Right.
a USA, Canada, typically the sum insured for the medical emergency coverage is much higher. It could be around 500,000 dirhams. For UK, it's different. The cost of any medical emergency in USA versus a European country obviously differs. Places like USA and Canada are more expensive, so you have to
Right.
ensure that you are kind of taking the plan which covers all these things. And the last thing you want to kind of get caught is off guard while on a
True.
holiday and when you have a medical emergency.
True, true, true. I also heard somewhere that if you break an ankle in Switzerland, it's about 40,000 dirhams. Agar insurance nahi ho to. So, going by that logic, what if you fall sick abroad? And matlab, will the travel insurance really cover hospital bills as well?
Yes. So if you do fall sick abroad, and if it is not a pre-existing condition, if it is a medical emergency, 100% it is covered. And a lot
Okay.
of our travel insurance policies, if you're buying from Policybazaar.ae, you will have a cashless option to get. You can contact the our help desk, the travel insurance help desk, 24/7, and they're
Okay.
available to kind of guide you through the claims. There is a certain helpline number available on each policy that you have bought, depending on which insurance company that you've kind of purchased the plan for. And
Right.
that number, once you call, that's a 24/7 helpline. They will be able to guide you. And if the costs are above a certain amount, there are multiple options available to get that cashless, so that you don't have to pay out of pocket.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Thoda time pehle, you touched upon the topic of adventure sports. So just want to bring that back. To what extent are adventure sports and high risk activities, so to speak, they are covered under standard versus a premium travel insurance plan?
Right. So a standard cover doesn't cover your adventure sports, right? A standard cover
Okay.
just basically covers a very basic medical emergency cover while you're on travel. A standard
Right.
cover may also not cover, for example, your flight delays and baggage loss, etc. But a more
Right.
enhanced cover, and these are specifically built as add-ons because not everyone does adventure sports, where when
True.
they're traveling and to whichever destination they're traveling, and because they come at a cost. So you, depending on which destination you're traveling. So, for example, if you're traveling to, let's say, New Zealand, and you want to go bungee jumping or skydiving, etc. So the basis your requirement, you can always on Policybazaar.ae, while you're checking out for a travel insurance plan, you can add the adventure sports cover as an additional rider or add-on on your plan. What essentially that covers you for is if you have any sort of accident, or any sort of medical emergency while performing these adventure sports and while participating in these adventure sports activities, those will be covered. There are limits
Okay.
defined on it as to how much will be covered. But if
Right.
you were, let's say, if you buy a standard plan, and if you were bungee jumping in New Zealand, and if you don't
Right.
have this adventure sports cover added on or bolted onto your travel insurance, the insurance company may decline to cover this. And another very important thing that I'd like to point out is that all these adventure sports covers, etc., they come into effect if you are participating in these activities with a licensed provider. So we go on holidays and we go to remote parts of certain countries, and we have a guy there who says, come
I
with
know
me, and
some guy who
I
knows
know
some guy.
exactly. So you have to always check that these are licensed.
Right.
We know of few cases where people were parasailing, paragliding in Georgia, and those were through unauthorized, unlicensed. You want to call them agents or service
Right.
providers, and
Right. Right. Right.
mishaps happened, incidents happened, and unfortunately they were not covered, and these could really be life threatening conditions that people may
Correct.
go through.
Correct, correct. Okay, so talking about going a step further in this, if we can just talk about a few of the common claims Joe UAE travels make when they go to Europe, and
Yeah.
how often do things actually go wrong?
So, I mean, we've been, hearing this since post-COVID, when the countries really opened up for travel. A lot of us started saying that, yeah, we have to travel now. Even the
Yes,
ones who didn't travel started kind of planning at least one holiday a year. And
true.
UAE is, it's a place which is very central. One of the most common claims that we're seeing, especially in the summers, is the flight delays, flight
Okay.
cancellations within Europe, baggage delays. There is also a lot of claims around medical emergencies because there are heat waves. The number of people typically traveling to destinations like Italy, etc. We've seen that in the news. Like it's
Right.
no hidden agenda there. It's kind of
Right.
out there in the news. And so these, I would say, are the most common claims where it's about, especially if I talk about the Schengen and Europe region, it would be regarding flight delays, flight cancellations. Those are one of the most common things, I would say, which you definitely should, kind of ensure that your travel insurance covers all that.
Okay. Okay. One last question before we end this section. Visa rejections. Okay. Is it covered under travel insurance? And if yes, what are the documents required?
So we have plans exclusively on Policybazaar.ae where the plans cover visa rejections, particularly for Schengen destinations,
Oh,
because
fantastic.
we face a lot of rejections, right? And the
Right.
rejections could be due to any reason, incomplete documentation, or sometimes you're not even given a reason, right? It's just that
Yeah.
your intent is not right. I mean, the last thing we have to figure out,
Yeah.
what was our intent. Our intent was just to go there on a holiday and come back.
Exactly.
And then that kind of, there is a visa fee involved which we have to pay, whether it's VFS or any other, the travel advisory in between, who kind of
Correct.
processes our visa documentation.
Correct.
So there is about $100 that you can claim up to on your visa rejection. In
Okay.
terms of the documentation that is required, is obviously you will have to submit the proof of visa rejection. Typically, when a visa is rejected, you get
Okay.
a written proof, whether that is a piece of paper with some reason that you receive back with your passport, or you receive an email from the embassy or that particular country's consulate, etc.,
Right.
advising what was the reason of rejection. And
Okay.
those can be submitted. You should be able to submit that as soon as you receive that. So I would say, just to avoid filing claims and avoiding any delays and avoiding any further questioning,
Right.
you should be able to do that within the same week of when you get that visa rejection, and you can file up to $100 in claims.
That's actually very interesting. Okay, let's move on to our next segment. Now, this is a rapid fire session. So just go with your gut, okay? No overthinking on this one. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, Toshita Chauhan, are you beaches or a mountain person?
Mountain.
All right. Road trips or airplane?
Road trips.
Scenic views or shopping sprees?
Scenic views.
All right. Budget stays or luxury resorts?
In between. Some destination budget stays, जहाँ पे flight
हाँ.
costs are बहुत ज़्यादा है, so land kind of becomes budget stay, and 1 or 2 holidays a year definitely luxury.
All right. Window seat or aisle seats?
Window, 100%.
Aha.
I don't move.
You don't Travel planner or a spontaneous packer?
Travel planner, definitely not.
Okay.
Like, the last thing I get to know is which destination are we going, is like the max I will know. What are we going to do there? I have zero.
We will go there and find out.
Yeah, like whoever's traveling with me, he has to find out. I will follow, and I will then also, the sad part is, I will also then tell them that, yaar, ye kyun kiya, ye bhi kar lete. So the person gets very annoyed, like, you should have planned then with me.
Okay.
So just pack your
Wha-
bags and go.
Pack your bags and go. Okay, spontaneous then. All right. One long vacation or multiple mini getaways?
I used to be multiple mini getaways. Now, I think as I'm growing older, one long vacation.
Okay. Are you waking up earlier in the day also?
Waking up earlier in the day, always. That was like born early riser.
Bas, theek hai. Okay. Travel insurance, must have or nice to have?
100% must have.
Okay. And the last one, great food or nightlife?
Great food.
All right, ji. Fantastic. That was your rapid fire round. And let's move on to our next segment. It's called Ask Away. Now, here we take up FAQs by our listeners and we respond to them with the help of our experts. So, slide into our DMs on Instagram, follow us on Policy Bazaar UAE, or reach out to us via any of the other social media handles, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in the next episode. But today, we're going to be talking about travel insurance. So, सबसे पहला question है Mahib का, and he wants to know, to what extent can UAE travelers customize their insurance coverage, and what options of add-ons do they have or they can get, and which are the ones which are most underutilized?
Right. So I would say the most, in terms of add-ons, the basic cover that you can get for insurance is it's a standard travel insurance with a certain medical emergency cover.
Right.
Add-ons, you should definitely look at a more enhanced plan, which could have baggage loss, flight cancellation, flight delays, adventure sports, as I mentioned earlier. It could
Right.
have, if you are carrying certain personal belongings, because there are some people nowadays, obviously a lot of us are bloggers now. We want to
Yeah.
carry like cameras. We have at least one phone on each of us. We have a laptop, an
Drones.
ipad, etc. Exactly. So the total cost of that is quite a lot. So you can
Yeah.
have an additional cover of personal belongings, which have to be kind of declared that what kind of personal belongings you're carrying.
Okay.
And I would say underutilized cover isn't, I mean, there isn't really one. Certain
Okay.
covers are built in, like document loss, etc., which, in case you lose your passport. But that kind of mishap happens if your bag is lost, or you've had any
Right.
kind of theft, etc. So I don't see that there is any particular kind of feature which is underutilized, because the very population kind of somewhere different destinations makes use of a lot of it. What I would
Okay.
really give as a tip is that understand your travel insurance when you purchase it. And how do you really use it? Because a lot of us that we see, just out of laziness, we don't file for claims. We just say, okay, we're going to get $50 back. It's fine. I'll do it when I come
Correct.
back. And typically, obviously, when you're on a holiday, you don't want to do that. When you come back, you are in the zone of, oh, we just got back to reality. And a lot of people slip away in that zone. So understand your travel insurance policy. And if there are any claims that you would like to make, or, you have to make within possible within the policy terms and conditions, you should definitely
Right.
file for them as soon as possible.
Understood. Mahip, hope that helped. Okay, second question. Yug wants to ask, okay, if he decides to add another Schengen country into his trip after buying a travel insurance, but he didn't declare it initially, so will it still be covered? Ya phir gaya.
So typically, when you're buying a Schengen visa coverage, it covers the entire region. What the insurance company wants to ask you is the date of travel. So your
Okay.
travel begins from X date and it ends on X date, and that's the coverage that you have defined within the policy. So
Right.
if you're still traveling to some other destination within the Schengen region, which comes within these travel days that you had declared, yes, that can be covered. If, for example, your travel cover that you had declared while purchasing the policy ends on 10th of a certain month, and then you plan to go to another destination and say, okay, let me explore two more places, I have some more time, etc., and that travel cover goes beyond it, so you will, before you plan that travel, so before your current policy ends, so before the 10th of that policy that ends, you'll have to kind of write back to your insurance company, or you can contact Policybazaar.ae and we'll help you extend the cover. Generally, here certain questions and certain declarations will be required to understand the objective as to why you are extending your travel, whether that's to do
Okay.
with just tourism, or there has been a medical emergency and you have to extend it. So the insurer just wants to evaluate the reason of extension, and basis that the cover can be done.
Okay. Next question is Akshayka, and he wants to know, okay, can you buy travel insurance after the trip has started? And are there any risks involved in that?
So you typically cannot buy travel insurance after your trip has started, which basically means that you have your origin country, let's say start of travel was from UAE. So you've left the UAE and then you've landed in your destination city or country. And after
Right.
landing there, you decide, okay, I need travel insurance. So typically that is not permissible. Some exceptions could be made, and insurance, I mean, this is mostly an offline process to, write to the insurance company, typically evaluate the case, and
Right.
there could be certain waiting periods that could apply. But to answer your question in a very concise way, travel insurance cannot be bought once you've left your country of origin and reached your destination. So you should definitely buy it before you start your travel.
Last question, and this one is coming in from Dev. Now, he wants to ask what happens if he extends his trip, but he forgets to extend the travel insurance? Is he still covered or is he at risk?
He's definitely not covered if he extends his trip and forgets to extend his travel insurance. So, if your trip was, let's say, from the 1st to the 10th of that particular month, and your policy is also issued for the 1st to the 10th of particular month, And if you
Right.
plan to extend your trip and say, oh, I will now stay in that country till the 20th of that month. So for the remaining 10 days, you are not covered. What typically, again, you have to write and contact Policybazaar.ae or your insurance company and give them a reason why you're extending and ask them for, an extension on your current insurance and make the additional premium payment for them.
Awesome. All right, Dave, we hope that you got all your answers. And with that, it's time to end our Ask Aways, and it is time to pull down the curtains on this episode of the Policy Project. Thank you so much, Toshita. And if ever you have any more questions, our listeners, just slide into our DMs at Policy Bazaar UAE. Reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in the next episode. For now, though, before zipping up those bags and turning on airplane mode, make sure you buy your travel insurance. Thanks, Toshita. As always, a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you, Sid. Hope you're going to plan your summer holiday soon.
With Policybazaar.ae travel insurance.
You were listening to Policybazaar.ae's The Policy Project. We've got you covered.